Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. First of all, I'd like to point out that this video is about getting to the bottom of things and not about offending anybody. With that being said, true equality can only come if people give respect where it's due. After I'm gone, it can never truly come. There's just madness and ritual madness. And we'll get to that in another part, in another video, on another day. So when they say things like, let the best man win, okay, pay the worker their wages, the laborer is worthy of his hire. It is true. If we're all considered equal in the truest sense of the word, and I've worked harder than you have, okay, doing the same job, shouldn't I get paid more? If we're all equal in the truest sense of the word, and I come from a long line of righteous people, and I have a certain righteous inheritance that I should be able to leverage to get an attractive woman, if not the most attractive woman in my sight. Is that not what's fair? If that was a white person, you'd be quick to give him his credit. White, Jew, or LGBT. But because it's me, you refuse to do that. That's not equality. In a society where some people are richer and some people are poor, how can you then tell me that it's not fair for me to demand my generational inheritance, righteousness, wisdom, which is worth far more than rubies, silver, and gold? Pretty straightforward. Can you imagine the knaves and the sexually immoral people, the greedy people, the selfish people who would argue that I'm wrong? Okay, now let's look at a list to understand why they make these despicable arguments. I would like you all to know that this list is a second draft, but it's more than sufficient for points of references and ideas that prove my point to a T. I'm going to show you a list of people who are weird, crazy, and stupid. Okay? A list of types of people, rather, that are weird, crazy, and stupid. There's spectrums with these groups. There's spectrums with these types. When we consider their spectrums, you'll see that I did a very good job putting them in order. There's no other way to look at it. I'm not playing favorite. I'm not practicing favoritism or nepotism or anything. I'm just simply calling it as it is. And in popular culture, historically, people would agree with me. For example, there's a Martin Luther King Day and not a Anton LaVey Day. Why is that? So, this is a list from dumbest to dumber to dumb, etc. in order from dumbest to just dumb. 18 groups. Hopefully, if any mental health professionals are listening to this, they'll realize their mistake. So I put, has mental health realized their mistake yet? Mental health realized their mistake yet? Question mark. And I put yawns, because I've been right for a very long time while they've been shunning me, and the attractive women in mental health have been dating scum with their pathetic scales, and they drug people with those scales. I'm sure you're all 100% satisfied that that's the case. Point number one, or first group rather, Satanists. Satanists are the lowest forms of life. They worship the idea of the source of rape, murder, theft, etc. Just like the second group, occultists. They think things like, do as thou wilt. They twist things. They have the nerve to be obviously evil and to argue things in a way that is confusing to confuse that evil. The only way to be more evil than evil is to try to confuse the fact that you're evil, so to speak. If you get my drift, if you get my meaning. So, of course, the second group is occultists, all scum, hidden behind the scenes cowards. The third group is dumb females, aka dumb bitches. Who is dumber than a dumb bitch? In a society where people kill themselves all the time over heartbreak and they kill other people, who is more reckless than a dumb, attractive bitch? So dumb bitches on a spectrum are easily number 3. One could argue they're number 1, but that's a story for another day. Number 4 is freaks, kind of Marilyn Manson. When life is short, fuck you being a freak for, and trying to sell the idea to other people. Being some weirdo on purpose with no higher cause. I'm not talking about somebody who has a mental disorder, a developmental disorder, or some crippled person, or someone who's deformed. I'm talking about people who willfully embrace the idea of being a freak And that is some bitch fucking shit. Some feeble, refuse to man up, refuse to woman up their female type of bitch shit. Number 5, the metalheads. Idiots. 6, emos. Sniveling, pitiful idiots. 7, goths. 8, druggies. 9, people are just considered losers. They're kind of dressed somewhat normally, but they're just losers because they refuse to rise up and be something respectable. 10, cheerleaders. Basically dumb bitches, but, you know, I put it there for a reason. It makes enough sense. 11, nerds. Okay, in the dictionary, a nerd is described as foolish and contemptible. So everybody who is as dumb as a nerd, okay, all the way down to a Satanist, is obviously wasting the hell out of their lives, and you couldn't miss it if you tried, because even in the dictionary, a nerd is described as foolish and contemptible and boringly studious. How many of you think that your life should be boring? That you should marry someone who's boring, foolish, and contemptible? How many think I should respect a female that marries someone who's boring, foolish, and contemptible? That's stupid, right? And it was a nerd that came up with that definition. Open and shut. Boom, done. The 12th group, cowboys. Okay? 13 group, racers. 14, skaters. 15, taggers. 16, party goers. These guys are all kind of mediocre. Okay? They're not known for their intelligence and their wisdom and doing the right thing. 17, good ats, right? People who are good at something. So they're good at drawing, they're good at computers, right? They're good ats. They're still idiots, but their spectrum includes people who are somewhat respectable. So I put them at 17. Remember, it's from dumbest to least dumbest. And the last group I put on the list is jocks. If you notice, gangsters are not on the list because their spectrum is actually more respectable than the rest of these groups. Now, quite often, sometimes jocks try to be like gangsters, right? Jocks are kind of jokes, though. If the more they're like a jock, right? Kind of jock strap, kind of weird outfit, you know, in the locker room, kind of smacking each other in the ass with wet towels. They could be quite immature, hazing type of people, and so on and so forth. They're not that respectable as a group. It is dumb to limit yourself to the identity of a jock, even if you're just in high school. Now, why aren't gangsters on the list? Well, let's think about this. Gangsters show a certain understanding that goes beyond these people. They say all your groups are basically bootlicking coward groups. Okay, you're fake nonconformists. You're white people who have identified as mediocre white people. You're like, I'm just a skater, man. I'm just an emo. I'm just a goth. Right? You basically, have no self-respect or dignity. Where a gangster tries, on their spectrum includes people who try to be wise, people who try to be smart. Some of these gangster rappers have very clever and deep and profound songs. Okay, they use their head. They name themselves things like Capone and Noriega and Gaddafi. They go deep into ideas that these other groups simply do not go into. Their spectrum, when they limit their identity to those identities, is rather pitiful. And as I hung out with gangsters, Christ himself hung out with gangsters. And like the Bible says, it says, people said the Son of Man hung out with tax collectors and gluttons. But wisdom is proven right by her deeds. Why did I do that? Why? Yes, they're sinners. They're not holy. But look at Tupac, Keep Your Head Up. What song do these other groups have that compares to Tupac, Keep Your Head Up? Or changes? They simply don't have them. Baby Don't Cry. They simply do not go that deep. And that leads me to the forms of intelligence and eventually to the different characteristics. Let me just shoot through this. We're going to explore this more in other videos. I'm going to take my time. We're going to explore it more in other videos. So there's certain types of intelligence in popular culture: existential, interpersonal, spatial, logical, mathematical, musical, bodily, kinesthetic, and more. Okay, existential has to do with why are we here? You think you're here just to be an emo or a goth or a dumb bitch or a loser? Or just a cowboy and limiting it to that? Just a skater? Just a party goer? Just good at drawing? Just simply skilled labor, putting extras on it? He's a wonderful sculptor. Who cares? Them and everybody else on the planet. Why didn't this person reach for the skies? You never heard that? The sky's the limit. Reach for the skies. Reach for the stars. But they said, oh, we're just mediocre bitches. You don't think that's fucking stupid? You don't think that shows a lack of intelligence? Intrapersonal. Your ability to understand yourself. When they looked inside of themselves and their hearts and their souls, their mind, body, soul, and spirit, they said, I'm just a bitch. That's what every group here, 18 group, all the groups I named, did. And these are the vast majority of people in society. Squares aren't much better. Populars aren't much better. Just some popular bitch, you know what I'm saying? Some networking punk. Think about it. Interpersonal, your ability to understand others. When they looked at themselves and others and asked themselves why they're here, you know what they came up with? Hey guys, I'm a bitch. I'm not gangster like a cool gangster. I'm not a martyr willing to die for a cause. I'm just a bitch. That shows that they're dumb. Dumb and Dumber. Babs Bunny. Kelly Bundy. Pokemon. Power Rangers. Shaggy Doo. Dumb as fuck. Spatial intelligence. How 3D objects relate in nature, including people and animals and plants. What they get from nature is to be a shallow psychological construct, concrete jungle bitch. And you don't think that makes them dumber than fuck. Somebody's got, I'm even a metalhead, heavy metal, all artificial, no sense. All superficial, artificial, and shallow, no sense. Dumber than shit. Logical, mathematical. What kind of logic they have in their mediocre, pitiful, boring lives? Musical. You call this the garbage they listen to good music? Profound music? Music worth listening to? Worth living your life? Genre and genes. Bodily kinesthetic. You some jock-ass Greco-Roman fucking ninny? Having true bodily kinesthetic, right? That's something that only for great martial artists to show intelligence through physical prowess. Okay, so by now you must be satisfied with the fact that even though I'm 41, I know far more than the elders because I obey the precepts like it says in their Bible. I understand, I discern more than the elders, for I obey the precepts of moral precision and focus moral intensity. They're just shallow, older version of these ninny groups and the other ninny groups that are allowed by ninnies. I know more than young people. They're just ninnies, and I'm older than they are and with more experience. Pretty straightforward. I am the expert. I am the master. I am the wisest. Humility is the fear of the Lord. Put a lamp on his stand. Pay the laborer his wages. Pay the worker his wages. The laborer is worthy of his hire. Stop playing stupid. Playing stupid is stupid at the most important time in fucking history when God's Son himself says, stop playing stupid. What other way could be? So now let's look at this thing. I'm going to give you seven categories of traits in order from worst to, still bad, but not as bad as the first category. Okay? From worst to least worst to up to that point. There's other words I didn't include. In fact, I forgot to put pitiful and pathetic. I'm going to have to do that in the second draft. We'll explore these more, but this will give you a pretty good example of why I'm right. What I mean by universal principles, universal truths, universal moral proofs, not mere human rules, customs, and traditions. In my culture, you're an emo. Shut the fuck up. But what about my culture? You're an arrogant, white privileged bitch. Thanks for coming out. Like I gotta explain this shit. The lowest form of life is someone who is demonic. What is more sick than that? They're demonic. They demeans. Demon is odd, men scramble. They're odd where it matters most. They might be, dressed all professionally. Yes, I'm Lucifer, yes. And fucking bitch-ass shit. Demonic. The second category, idolaters. Pedos. Wicked people. Evil people. Diabolical. Devious. Vile. Disgusting. Potent words. You need to, if the shoe fits, wear it. Right? Next category. Third, it's actually 8 categories. I put 2 twice, so I'm going to have to cross that out. Third category. Horrid, awful, and horrible. Horrible, awful, and horrid. Third, perverted, obnoxious, dishonorable, ignoble, and brutes. It's really how you use these words, but, for the sake of, points of references, I'm putting it in this order. So one could argue that dishonorable isn't as bad as horrible. See, that was dishonorable versus, oh my gosh, that was horrible. You see what I'm saying? So now we're on the 5th category. Senseless, unfair, inconsiderate, unjust. 6th category, shallow, careless, carefree, confused, indifferent. 7th category, unfocused, inattentive, foolish. 8th category, stupid, dumb, groupie, fool. We can argue if you're stupid, what can you do? If you're dumb, what can you do? If you're groupie, yeah, that's bad. In fact, I think I should rearrange that groupie one. The group one is pretty bad. Fool is pretty bad too, but I guess being, I actually, let me withdraw that last category because I must have gotten confused about the order,